Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Wake Up Wednesday. Now first things first, I have to make a little disclaimer because I'm not wearing any makeup today. So I've had a long day. I went to work, then I went to go and see a couple of friends, and I literally got home and I was just like, yeah, this makeup has been on all day. I need to get it off my face. And I said to myself, do you know what? I'm just gonna film without my makeup. You know, Wake Up Wednesdays are supposed to be about what's going on in the inside anyway. So whether or not I have makeup is not even a problem, so hence why my face is like this. Also, secondly, as you can see, I'm wearing my trusted robe that you guys have seen I've featured in many videos, but it is a little bit dirty only because I was gonna put it in the wash, but I was getting ready for bed and I needed to put something on that was appropriate, otherwise anything else would be very inappropriate. So I thought, okay, let me just fling this on, yeah, because anything else would just be very inappropriate. But yeah, I just needed to put some disclaimers out there. Anyway, so back into the gist of this video, and I'm hoping this Wake Up Wednesday will be very short because that's the whole point of them in the first place. But today's Wake Up Wednesday, we're talking about God and our relationship with him, and sometimes that wedge that we seem to feel in the middle. Now this all started about a week or 2 weeks ago that I had this idea for this video because I was talking to a young lady who basically messaged me and was like, I'm going through a really tough time, you know, I'm a new Christian. Obviously I'm not going to mention their name because they probably wouldn't want to know, you know, have their name mentioned, but they're basically saying, you know, I'm a new Christian, I'm, you know, finding it really difficult to kind of, you know, stay away from temptation, and I feel like, you know, I think I can't even remember the whole gist of the message, but it was kind of this feeling of like, in the beginning I was very zealous and, you know, I was really on fire for God, and then now as time is going by, I'm just not in that place anymore, and I'm finding it more and more difficult to do things like pray, etc. And I remember, you know, speaking to this particular female and basically just saying to her, like, listen, I've been there, I felt exactly what you're feeling. It's something that I'm sure that a lot of us can relate to. Just this feeling of like almost as though we've just grown apart from God, as though God has just moved somewhere else, or he's turned his back, or like he's literally like over here and we're over here, and though we're trying to like reconnect, it just feels like God is just so far away. And then this morning I was watching a sermon by I can never ever say his name, is so annoying, by T.D. Jakes. I have to say it like that, otherwise I won't say it properly. I was watching a sermon this morning by T.D. Jakes, and crazily enough, he basically mentioned the very thing that I had been thinking about over, you know, this time. And the sermon was basically just about how God never changes, God doesn't move, you know, God stayed the same, he is the same, he was the same, and he will continue to be the same. And that really sparked that kind of moment for this video, and that's something that I wanted to kind of deliver today. The fact that God himself does not move. It might feel like, you know, us and God are really separate, and like I said, God is on this side, we're on this side, but the actual reality of it is that God is still here. He was in the middle, he is in the middle, and he always will be in the middle. It is us who have moved away, who has diverted our eyes onto other things, who have started to focus on other things rather than focusing on God, who have started to worship other things rather than worshiping God, who have started to, you know, aspire towards, you know, other things outside of what God wants for us. It isn't God who has moved or distanced himself from us. It is us. God has been there. Where he was standing before is where you will meet him, where you will find him. But it's up to us. It's up to us to turn around and say, okay, I need to go back. I've now come all the way down this road, and, you know I don't like it. I know what is going on. It's keeping me so far away from God. But I need to go back. And oftentimes people feel as though, you know, once they've sinned or whatever it is, or even if it's a recurring sin or whatever is going on in their lives, once they're in that place, once they've branched out and gone in a different direction, oftentimes people feel as though they can't come back. And that is a complete lie. How many stories, you know, have we read in the Bible, we heard, you know, of people basically returning to God or trying to run away from God and it not really, you know, working out, whether it be Jonah, who tried to run away from, you know, God's destiny for the destiny that God had set for him, tried to run in the other direction, but ended up back to God anyway. Or for example, Moses, which was what TG Jakes was speaking about in the sermon that I was watching this morning, the fact that for 30 years God sent you know, Moses to take these people out of Egypt. I'm gathering that I'm getting this correct. If I'm getting this wrong, please do correct me. But basically, you know, was sent and was told by God, you are going to lead these people out of Egypt. They are enslaved and you're going to help them, you know, to be free. And he was like, nah, I'm going in a completely different direction. For 30 years he got married, he did his own thing, he lived his life, until eventually that path ended up back to God again. And that's just kind of like a physical representation of how it works for us, you know. Though we might not necessarily deviate in the fact that God has asked us to do something and we go in the other direction, maybe it's literally just that we're not praying as much as we should do, we're not reading the word as much as we should do, we're not witnessing as much as we should do, we're not challenging ourselves in terms of our faith and in terms of our love for Christ as much as we should do, and that's what's making us feel distant. Again, that distance has nothing to do with God. God hasn't turned his back on you. God hasn't turned away from you. God hasn't decided that he's going to walk away from you and leave you where you are. God is exactly where you left him, but it's up to you to decide and say to yourself, okay, right now I'm not in a great place. Right now I have become distant from God. Right now I've stopped doing A, B, C and D that normally brought me closer to God. But now it is time for me to acknowledge that, to understand that, but to go back. It is time for me to walk back into the arms of my Father, of my Omega, of my, you know, my Heavenly Father, of my first love. It is time for me to turn back around and go back into those arms that are wide open, waiting for me, just waiting for me to take those steps, like a little baby, like a little child, literally waiting for us to take those steps, like a baby, to fall down, to, you know, graze our knees and to bump our heads and to hurt ourselves and to hurt our fingers and to hurt our toes and to do whatever it is, but like a baby, to still get up even after 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times of falling and hurting ourselves, but still being able to get up and walk into our Father's arms. And that is exactly what I want to leave with you today. The fact that God doesn't change. The same God that was in the beginning of the Bible is the same God that was in the middle of the Bible, that was at the end of the Bible, and that is the same God that we have today. The same God that was the father of Abraham is the same God that was the father of whoever came later, I don't know, Paul or whoever it is, or Saul turned Paul, whatever. And the same, you know, God that is our Father today, he does not change. And that was another thing that TG Jakes was speaking about today. You know, he mentioned how you know, God can't grow. Like, God is constant. God cannot grow and develop just like us. God doesn't change, because growth equals change. It means that you are changing, you are molding, you are renewing, you're becoming something different. God doesn't have that. But that's such an important factor to remember. The fact that God does not change, God does not mutate. The same God that you prayed to before is the same God that you can pray to now. The same God that you trusted in those really, really difficult times is the same God that you can trust in now. The same God that you went to weeping and broken is the same God that you can go to now. He does not change. He will never change. He is the beginning and the end. He is, as TG Jakes said, this is literally pretty much TG Jakes' sermon, so excuse me, banning that copyright, but it was so crazy, because this was literally something that I was thinking about. Just the fact that we just get wrapped up in this whole thing of like, oh my gosh, I'm so distant from God, and we almost seem to make it seem as though, you know, God has like walked away from us, when really and truly it's actually just us. It's literally us. We are the ones that have changed. We've changed maybe our routine, which means that we're not reading the Bible as much as we should do. Is, you know, we are the ones that maybe have changed in terms of our attitude towards God and all these little things. It's us that changes, and it's when we stop fixating, you know, our eyes upon that cross, that we start to walk in a different direction, and then all of a sudden we end up on the other side, you know, of the bloody road, and then we're kind of looking around and thinking, God, where did you go? No, God is still where you left him. You just need to walk back now. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking because I feel like I'm pretty much repeating the same thing. But this is just, you know, a reminder to you, especially if you feel like you have been distant from God, especially if you feel like, you know, things are different, things have changed in terms of your dynamic and the relationship that you have with God. Just remember and be conscious of the fact that God stays the same. He does not move, he does not change. He changes, yes, he can change you, yes, he can have an impact on you, yes, he can have a change, you know, make a change in your surroundings and the things that are working around your life, but he himself does not change. The same God that you knew yesterday is the same God that you know today, and is the same God that you will come to know tomorrow by his grace, of course. So stop worrying about where has God gone, or why has he turned away from me, or why has he moved away from me, and you just think about how you can move back to him. So I really hope that this video helped. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you do a massive and a huge thumbs up. Thank you so much, by the way, for all the love and support that you guys have been giving on my Wake Up Wednesdays. I have been trying really hard to stay on top of it, to stay consistent. It's been really difficult, just with work. Like, it's just, yeah, it's been really tough, but thank you so much for your patience, for your love, your support always. Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, I really do want to stay on top of these Wake Up Wednesdays, and I want to make as many Wake Up Wednesdays as possible. But yeah, thank you so much for everything, guys. Remember to like, subscribe and share if you haven't done so already. Make sure you hit that bell button so that you're notified every time I put up a video, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Stay beautiful.